I went with the youth once again on a mission trip, and we got back last night. The plane was 4 hours delayed, but they found us a safe plane to come back on, and while we didn't like the delay, we did like the idea of having a safe plane to come back on. We spent the week in Chicago. We had 15 high school youth and 4 adults, and we worked with Sunshine Gospel Ministries. And part of the things that we did were work projects, and part of the things that we did were we had learning experiences. So with that, I've got some questions we have Wilson Gray and Catherine May Rodden here that are willing to share about their mission trip experience. So Catherine May, can you tell us where we stayed in Chicago and just describe the area a little bit?
So we stayed in South Chicago, specifically the Woodlawn neighborhood, which is very high poverty.
And okay, so we mentioned our youth went to 2 different work projects, and each of them were on different teams. And so Wilson, can you tell us about the work projects that your team did?
Yeah, so we worked, my group was at a church called Another Chance Church, and they had a school that they were working on along with another building for offices. So one of the things we did as well was there were lots across the street, which we were basically doing yard work, mowing the lawn and stuff, because they were eventually going to have community-run businesses on the other side of the street from the church, and we were just doing the very beginning.
How high was the grass over there that we were?
Probably about 5 feet. Yeah.
It was tall. People could hide and things could hide in the grass, and we just leveled it out. What about, did you say the inside work?
Oh yeah, and then there was another small part of our group who were painting trim for the offices.
So Catherine May, what did your group do on your work projects?
So my work team went to 2 local gardens. The first one was just a few minutes away from where we were staying, and we actually connected to some of the locals through music. I asked our host if I could play some music on a speaker, and he was like, yeah, sure. So I put on an artist named Kanye West, and he is actually from South Chicago. So I put it on, and they were like, who is playing music right now? I was like, oh, it's me. He was like, oh, you like Kanye West? I was like, yeah, I do. So that was a great experience, and we all were singing, and so yeah, that really connected us. And then the second garden was larger, and it was more of landscaping and stuff. It was also fun. We got to try some of his plants. He had mulberries, he had spearmint, peppermint, onions, stuff like that. So that was really fun as well.
All right, so as was mentioned, Woodlawn was the name of the area in Chicago where we stayed, and one of the things we did the first day was we went on a tour of Woodlawn. And Wilson, what's something you noticed on this tour of the area?
So I remember one of the first houses we stopped at, which was the house of the Hansberry family. So Woodlawn was originally a more white neighborhood, and when the Hansberry family moved in, they were ordered by a judge to leave the neighborhood, and they ended up taking the case all the way to the Supreme Court and won. And the Hansberry family, Lorraine Hansberry, who wrote Raising in the Sun, and was also the first African-American woman first African-American woman playwright author to get a play on Broadway. And then I guess another notable family from the Woodlawn area are the Obamas, and we were shown the new Obama library that they were building.
What else did we see in the tour, Catherine?
So we also visited the home of Emmett Till, and if you don't know who that was, he was a 14-year-old boy who grew up in South Chicago and was visiting his grandparents in Mississippi. He was accused of whistling at a white woman, and this white woman was married to a prominent member of the KKK. So in the middle of the night, members of the KKK came to his house, kidnapped him, and then lynched him. And then there was a trial, and then just 2 hours into the trial, all of the charges were dropped. So this story is credited to be the start of the civil rights movement in the South due to the outrage that came from it.
And so as these things you can imagine with the history, one of the things in the community is, well, I'll ask it this way. So this pertains to what is needed in that community. What word, Wilson, or Catherine May, what word did CW talk about at the beginning of the week, and what does it mean?
So he actually used the word shalom, which I didn't know was used outside of our church. Because I've never heard it anywhere else, so I didn't know. But I learned the actual meaning of it, which is peace. Peace with ourselves, peace with others, peace with God, and peace with creation. So those are the four concepts of shalom, and our job as a Christian is to achieve shalom. So we talked about that all week, which was actually really interesting because I did not know what it meant. I just heard it a lot of the time, and I knew it had something to do with peace and God, but we really dived into the true meaning behind it. So that was really interesting.
So another one of the educational opportunities we had beyond the tour of Woodlawn was a poverty simulator experience. And can y'all share, I guess start with Wilson, share your roles in the experience and what was it like? What did you do?
Yeah, so the poverty simulator had people separated into different families, and Catherine May and I were actually in the same family. And so I don't know how much money we had to start.
So I was a single mother of 3. I was making $24,000 a year, and he was my son in middle school. So, yeah, it was a lot. We had a lot of different experiences, such as he got arrested because what'd you do?
Rob a store.
He robbed a store. We had to go to court, had to miss a day of work, which I learned was actually a very big deal when you're only making $24,000 a year. And he broke his phone at one point, so I had to pay for that. He needed new shoes. It was a lot of things. I didn't realize all of the bills that you had to pay, such as water bills, electricity, phone bills, rent, car insurance. So I just realized how hard it is to be a single mother of 3, or just to have such little salary and so many things to pay and so many unexpected things that can happen.
Did the money last the whole month?
No.
We got to the last day.
No, I did not really know how to use my money wisely, so we ended up at the end of the month being $600 in debt, which was not fun.
Okay, so we went up there, and on the last day, it was mentioned about the fact that we heard a story about Jesus and the Samaritan woman, and how she was Jesus' host at the well. Talk about who was a host and who was a guest. And we talked about the idea of being a guest. And so, what did you learn about being a guest?
So I definitely felt like an outsider when we got there. But we were made to feel welcome by the staff at Sunshine as well as the hosts at our workplaces. But something that struck me at the end of the week is that we were just guests. We were there for the week. These people that live there, this was their lifestyle. This was their community. And it was really hard for me to realize that that's how they were living every single day. Because when we got there, I was complaining about the air conditioning not working and the microwave not working. But I realized that this is what these people live with every day, and that I needed to appreciate what I had back in Charlotte, and that I could just go home to such a good community when all they had was the community in Woodlawn.
Wilson, is there a lesson that sticks with you for the week?
Yeah, I mean, basically bouncing off of what Catherine May said was basically not to take things for granted, because there's definitely people that, are in worse situations than we are.
And while this community, you had severe poverty and moderate, and even in some cases not poverty, it's not that everybody was downcast the whole time. These people learned how to be happy with life and be good to one another within that context as well. But at least it did help them see some of the challenges that people that deal with poverty have to deal with. So, but thank you for your support. It's been a while since we've had a mission trip, but you all have always supported us generously on that, and glad we were able to have a trip this summer, and that these young folks could work a little and learn a little. So thank you very much for your support.